Caitlin Clark gets no calls. It's really wild to see. One would expect a superstar whistle for a player like Caitlin Clark. In the NBA, the joke is, the league wants to keep the Lakers around. The league wants to keep LeBron around. The league wants to keep the Warriors around. The league wants to keep Steph around. You go to the NFL, the refs are cheating for the Chiefs. But in the WNBA, it's the opposite. It's like, smash Caitlin Clark to the floor, no call. And I'm not saying there's nefarious intent or bias by the officials, but maybe besides what comes from like a rookie must earn her keep and that mentality that's come from the WNBA, but it's kind of ridiculous. Some of the fouls that she's eaten without a call. And I'd be pissed if I were her too. I was pissed watching the game because it cost the Fever 5 points. It's not like, incidental stuff. It cost them 5 points. And remember back when Angel Reese said that whole special whistle thing? She was up at the podium.
Really hard.
On Angel, I'm just playing this because it was noteworthy.
For inside, I think we were playing really hard. I think we went up really strong a lot of times and we didn't get a lot of calls. And going back and looking at the film, I've seen a lot of calls that weren't made. I guess some people got a special whistle, but.
And she reiterated that in another meeting, but I don't see the evidence that says that whatsoever. In fact, if you just look at this series with the Sun and the Fever, you would see several instances of the opposite of a special whistle in a negative way for Caitlin Clark. Not to deal with any of the nonsense that came after this play, but the Dejanay Carrington play, not called a foul. That was not called a foul when she smacked Caitlin Clark in the eye. In game 2, these were more costly on the scoreboard, if you will, because these were plays where generally you always get the call. Clark and DeWanna Bonner got into it on this one because Bonner came into her landing space. Generally an easy, clear call. If you see on the actual shot here, there's Clark with the ball, shooting the 3. Bonner's in the space. They call that because of a sprained ankle risk, that kind of injury risk, and that should have been 3 free throws for the Indiana Fever. 3 points, most likely, the way Clark shoots free throws. And then later in the game, Marina Mabry hacks the hell out of her with no call. It's almost staggering to see for a superstar, especially one who's not like huge where the contact you can't necessarily see, but Mabry swings down. Clark hits the floor there. Hammered. No call. I don't know if it's, rookie hazing on the parts of the referees or what. But if you were leaning one way or the other, it felt more like they wanted the Fever and Clark to go home than they did to want the series extend. And again, I'm not implying intent with anything or crying the Sun were a better team. They deserved the win in the series. But it's just odd to see the lack of calls Caitlin Clark gets, and hopefully that gets better in her second WNBA season.